Thanks for joining us here on Arc Salt Lake. I'm Brian Schnee. Thursday, July 3rd. Tonight, taking a look at fireworks, safety, and I speak one-on-one with a pilot from the 419th Fighter Wing ahead of their flyover tomorrow. Plus, a community absolutely outraged after losing EMS services they've had for decades. Before we get there, though, got to start off with the weather ahead of the July 4th weekend, the holiday weekend here. People out and about doing their thing. Maybe handling some fireworks. They are legal here in Utah. We always remind people just to do it safely and do it in the right place. But will the weather cooperate for the holiday here, Sterling?
Well, we've got a little bit of a few little bumps in the road, but I think overall we're going to have a fairly good holiday. There still will be a few scattered showers and thunderstorms out and about. Right now we've got some cloud cover out there and not much in the way of showers, but 88 degrees, a little northeast wind at 8, and the humidity's higher at 22%. And we have had a few showers out and about. Look at these temperatures. Roosevelt right now, 66 degrees. They've had a lot of shower activity in eastern Utah today. Price is at 67, Cedar City 77, and you can see the 80s in Tooele, Ogden, and Logan. You can see the satellite picture. We still have quite a bit of activity here across northeastern Utah. The western part of the state will start to dry out, but there's another disturbance coming across tomorrow afternoon. And we're going to talk about the timing of that next system. Plus, we've got the chance of getting some very gusty winds, and that's going to be across the western part of the state. So fire weather warnings are in my forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Sterling, thank you. On the eve of this Independence Day, firefighters sounding the alarm about fire danger and fireworks. The Mapleton City Fire Department sharing these photos on social media earlier today after a small brush fire was sparked by fireworks. Overall, about a quarter acre. That is very small for them. They caught it quick, but a good reminder that we all need to be very, very careful while celebrating. And that right there is the very reason firefighters across the state and across Utah County also sent out a warning earlier today. The majority of the state now under stage 1 fire restrictions. Basically, that means just don't do anything in any place that you shouldn't be. And just last week, the Cedar Hills fire was sparked by fireworks being set off before the legal time frame, and the burn scar was the backdrop of today's press conference with those firefighters. Today, firefighters did a little demonstration as to how to safely dispose of fireworks.
When we light our fireworks, we're going to make sure that we allow them to cool before touching them. We're not going to approach them until they've cooled off. Then they're going to either douse them with the hose if they're too large to fit in a bucket. Go ahead, guys. They're going to douse them with the hose or put them in a bucket of water and let them cool. Please remember not to put your fireworks into a garbage can. Roll them near your home, near cars, anything that could cause secondary fire from the fireworks. Sparklers, we have injuries from sparklers every year. They burn at over 2,000 degrees. Make sure that you're keeping them, our kids love to walk around with them. Make sure we're keeping those away from our kids to where they're not able to burn themselves with them. So you can see that they've allowed these to stop burning at your home. Make sure they cool off a little bit more, and then they're going to go ahead and put them into a bucket of water.
All right, we'll get to this in a sec. Those fireworks, by the way, are not the big ones that people are setting off. Utah law permits aerial fireworks up to 150 feet, and they explode, and none of what you saw there was that. Keep that in mind. If you're in northern Utah on the 4th, just look up. Beginning around 9 a.m. on the 4th, airmen from the 419th Fighter Wing out of Hill Air Force Base will be flying a 4-ship of F-35As over local towns and cities as part of their 37th Independence Day flyover. Salt Lake to Vernal, Lewiston, Huntsville, Park City, and more. I spoke with Major Justin Newman, USU Aggie grad, call sign Slider, who's part of this special formation.
About 11 years total. I joined military in 2014 and then went straight to pilot training. So I've been in in and out of the cockpit since 2014, and between F-16s, F-35Bs, F-35As, all that good stuff. I joined the Air Force active duty, so I did not join the reserves from the beginning. I joined it active duty, and when I commissioned, went straight to, I've been Oklahoma, Mississippi, South Korea, Florida, Beaufort, South Carolina, down to Yuma, Arizona, to Tucson, to Hill Air Force Base. I did one stint at Hill as an active duty. And then I went back to Phoenix for 3 years. That was my last assignment. And then I just got here at the beginning of May when I transferred from active duty to the reserves.
Now, are you from Utah originally?
So I was born and raised in Idaho most of my life, but the southeast Idaho, and then went to school Utah State. And that's what I kind of call home now, though. Like, when I moved to Utah State, I fell in love with Utah. So it's awesome to be back. The typically training that we do is more combat focused, right? So we're going to go out and we're going to do different scenarios depending on what kind of training we're trying to accomplish, whether it's an air-to-air or an air-to-surface sortie. And so that's what we primarily focus on when we go out to the Utah Chest and Training Range and everything else when you see us depart. For flyovers, it's a little less because we're doing this as kind of a thank you to the community, right? We've been doing this for a long time, and it's a really cool opportunity for us to kind of say thanks to the community. We know we make a lot of noise. We know it can be a little annoying sometimes at the late nights, and this is just our way to be able to give a thank you back to everyone around in Utah and for all the support they've given us. It also is a chance for us to practice some good training that we get as far as timing, formation flying, some navigational experience that we all get from all of that. So while, you know, it's not as tactical per se, we're still getting a lot of great flight and aviation training throughout all of it. We sat down earlier this week for a few hours and just tried to figure out what is the best way that we can go see. We had 17 flyover requests that we could fulfill. We had many more requests, but they were either times that didn't make sense, or not that they didn't make sense, just times that we couldn't make work based off of the fly window that was available to us. And then, so we tried to align those with either parades or outdoor parties and stuff like that. So it's a really difficult challenge. That was kind of fun to sit down and figure out that puzzle. So we start at Hill, and then you can see based off the routing, we're kind of starting on the north. We fly all the way to the south end of the valley for a minute, then we're back to the north end of the valley, and then we're out to Vernal and up to Lewiston, and then back down into the main valley, and then over to Park City. So we're all over the place. And the entire intent of that is to try and give many people the opportunity to see. We'll be up and down the valley, Salt Lake Valley, probably 2 or 3 times. So they'll get to see us, even if it wasn't on purpose. You know, we'll be flying around and they'll get to see that opportunity. We'll be flying 1,000 feet AGL over some of the main shows, and then probably a little bit higher depending on the terrain and everything else there. So to tell everyone there, if you want to have a flyover, there's a specific process that you have to fulfill. I know there's been I kind of saw some comments on some of the posts where they're like, what the heck, man, why aren't they flying over here? Why aren't they flying over there? And it's like, what I would say is go to the Air Force's PA website and do the flyover request submissions, because it's pretty easy to do. It's a couple pieces of paperwork. It doesn't take very long, and it's not very hard approval process once that's submitted. So if people want us to do those flyovers, continue adding those requests, and we do our darnest to try and make sure that we can see go to everywhere they want us to go. What I would want to tell everybody is thank you. It's awesome to be part of a community that supports one of the biggest F-35 wings in the world. You know, and we are always busy and we're always flying. We're making a lot of noise during all times of the day and night. And I know that can get frustrating to a lot of people. And just know that we're doing it to keep this guy safe, and being part of the F-35, you know, air domination, it's pretty important, right? So I would just tell everybody thank you. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for allowing us to do our jobs uninhibited, and I appreciate that.
Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, a geyser sends water and more onto a home in Sandy. The damage done and why the city says it'll pay for that damage. For decades, the Kain County Hospital has answered emergency calls in Fredonia, Arizona, and its surrounding communities. But this week, Arizona state officials told them continuing to do so would be illegal. Liv Kelleher has the latest.
It literally is a matter of life and death. Where else are we going to get transportation to a hospital?
The small town of Fredonia has relied on Kain County for ambulance services for nearly 5 decades.
When I asked about the 911, and I said, we've been covering Arizona for over 40 years, the investigator said, so what you're telling me is that you've been breaking the law for over 40 years.
Kain County has tried to obtain the proper certificate to operate within Arizona for the past 3 years.
Because your DPS, your sheriff's department, call us and ask us to come. And under emergency mutual aid, we feel like that we have been able to do that. And I said, we'd like to continue to do that.
They've revised and resubmitted their application several times until it was officially denied this week.
So you live in Fredonia?
Yes, I do.
And have you utilized the Kain County ambulance services? It saved his life.
Yeah, several times. This is my wife, who you hear in the background.
Hi. I am a lifelong resident of this town, and it has saved my family more than once. It has saved my friends more than once.
She believes there is no good reason to deny constituents health care services.
The bureaucratic bullcrap needs to stop. The hospital has said that they will do it as a humanitarian service. The town of Fredonia has even offered to pay the hospital for their service. So just because someone's on a power trip is endangering people's lives, and it really, really, really needs to stop.
I also reached out to Deputy Bureau Chief Noreen Alden, who signed the order blocking Kain County's application. I asked her why the application was denied, what alternatives exist, and if the people of Arizona can count on reliable and speedy EMS services. However, she did not respond. In Kanab, Liv Kelleher, KUTV 2 News.
To a 2 News exclusive, a pipe burst and a geyser gushed and water and rocks rained down on her house. Now the city of Sandy says it will pay to fix it. As Brian Malahy reports, the homeowner says water seeped through her stucco, into the drywall, and rocks peppered her solar panels.
An imperfect one-house storm that kept going for an hour or more.
Not a great experience.
It was exciting. You should have been here.
Homeowner Vicki Nelson on the day after.
So will you pay for her damage?
Usually the damage that we cause, we're able to recover all the costs.
So the city will pay for her damage?
We will pay for mitigation, yeah.
Tom Ward is Sandy Public Utilities Director.
And often it's much cheaper to pay contractors than attorneys to help take care of them.
The pipe that burst, 50 years old, just around the corner from brand new pipe, which a neighbor says has caused its own water woes.
I've had some pressure issues.
But nothing like this until last evening.
But it's turned out better than what it could have been.
I'm smiling. I haven't cried yet. I might tonight.
An adjuster for the city was at the house today. Vicki Nelson says work at her home could start as early as tomorrow. In Sandy, Brian Malahy, KUTV 2 News.
Well, not to make light of it, but that's one way to not have to turn the sprinklers on. I know that's something that we've been obviously talking about. I hope Vicki's able to get the help she needs. Yeah. Drywall's not easy to work with. Just had some drywall work done at my house today, not related to anything like that. But I don't envy her for that situation. But is anyone else going to get a light shower, Sterling?
Now, we've had some showers out and about, and as we take a look at the time lapse today, Brian, you can see it from Red Butte Garden. We've had quite a bit of cloud cover throughout most of the day, and that's kept our temperatures generally in the 80s. I think we topped out at 90 degrees today, but we still had those south winds, not as strong. And then towards evening, we started to see a little bit of activity building up over the mountains, the Ochre Mountains. You can see right there a storm over in the Twila Valley. That's been hanging out, so that could actually move into the Salt Lake Valley. So we still have a chance of getting a shower or a sprinkle, maybe even a bolt of thunder before everything is said and done. The reason is because we still got moisture streaming up from the south. We're going to have a system come through here tomorrow, though, that's going to dry things out considerably as we move into the weekend. And that's going to mean temperatures climbing once again, fire danger increasing once again. And we have some fire danger for tomorrow we'll talk about. You can see the scattered shower activity across the state. Let's give you a little bit of a tour. Here's those showers I was just telling you about that are over on, just kept coming out of the Twilla Valley on the north end of the Ochre Mountains there. Those are moving toward the northeast. Places like West Jordan, Salt Lake City, Bountiful, you probably are going to see a shower or two if those hold together. We had a really good shower move through Colville in the last hour, causing quite a bit of water on the roadways up there. Still some light rain showers all day on the south slopes of the Uintas, and that extended down into Moab, which is now moving off to the northeast into Colorado. We've still got some showers down just south and west of Capitol Reef, and this guy's been sitting here for quite some time. So this is when we worry about slot canyons, when those showers just don't move. So that's been there for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours or so. And then we've got some just to the west of Panguitch. These showers are moving into Panguitch, so you'll see a shower. So there's quite a few people that are going to see a little sprinkle today. Just south of Milford, this storm looks like it's dissipating. And we've got some storms south of the border down in Arizona. These are moving toward the east, so it looks like they'll miss St. George, but they may end up into Colorado City or up towards Springdale. We'll see how the direction of those storms take. But here's the other thing we're watching for tomorrow. Tonight the winds die down, but tomorrow they pick up again across southwestern Utah and down to south central Utah and here along the Wasatch Front, because we've got a little weak cool front approaching. Once that goes through, but the fire danger will die off. But tomorrow afternoon, we do have a good chance of seeing fire weather creating dry conditions, low humidities, strong winds, and warmer temperatures all across southwestern Utah and portions of southern Utah, south central Utah as well. So lows tonight will be in the 60s and 70s and 50s across the state. Should be a fairly pleasant night, but there will still be a few lingering showers. And highs tomorrow will be there in the 90s and 80s. And we will see those southwest winds and possibly a good chance of some thunderstorms between 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and about 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So here's the forecast for St. George. Those temperatures getting up to about 106 on Monday and Tuesday, up to 109 Wednesday and Thursday. So the heat's coming back next week. And for Salt Lake City, 90s and then triple digits next Wednesday and Thursday.
You know, Sterling, we talked about the small brush fire in Mapleton earlier today, and I just saw that the city took action right now and actually implemented restrictions immediately because of what they saw. So some of these local municipalities are not messing around when it comes to fire potential right about now.
Yeah, and it's nice and cool today, but tomorrow the winds kick in, the heat comes back, the winds could create that fire danger once again. So just be careful with everything to do with fire. All
right, something we are definitely keeping an eye on throughout the holiday weekend. Sterling, thank you. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, a look at some of the 4th of July festivities happening tomorrow. We'll be right back. Well, tonight we want to take a look at a couple of the celebrations taking place for the force tomorrow. The festivities start early in St. George. They got the old Uncle Sam 4K race at 6:30 a.m. Never heard of a 4K, by the way. That's pretty cool. Followed by a parade at 7:45 a.m.
That's right. And this year's parade theme is America 250. That's next year, and will feature a variety of floats, community groups, and musicians. So be sure to get there early to get a good spot to watch the parade.
Well, you heard the governor. He wants to have it a whole year.
Yeah,
of 250.
a year-long celebration. Why
Yes.
not? Let's do it.
North Ogden's Cherry Days are underway, and tomorrow it starts with a sunrise service at North Ogden Park, followed by a 5K race. See, I've heard of those, and a kids parade.
Then the main parade starts at 10 a.m., so stick around for the vendor market where you'll find food trucks, local art, and kids' games.
Over in Sandy, an Independence Day flag field and evening parade. The parade grand marshal is a 15-year-old Alta High student, Damian Benash, who was born with muscular dystrophy.
The parade starts at 6 p.m. and circles the Sandy Promenade. Before that, there will be bands, a craft fair, and local food. And the fireworks, of course, start at 10 p.m. and everything should be settled down by then.
We hope so, and a lot of those places will see the flyover tomorrow, so just look up. Looking ahead to next weekend, the annual Days of 47 KUTV Pops concert. It's happening at Bravino Hall Friday and Saturday, the 11th and 12th, 7:30.